Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen here with Alex King and Daniel Mangina and David Strickle. Today is Tuesday, July the 21st, 2020, 4 p.m. New York time. Wherever you are in the world, thanks for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And we are happy once again that it is Stream of David Tuesday. This is our new theme. Every Tuesday we do Stream of David. And David, first of all, I want to thank you once again for agreeing to do this on a regular basis. This is like a dream come true for me. I don't know if you knew that, but to have this kind of conversation with non-physical beings on a regular basis, sort of an Abraham kind of experience, only with the David flavor to it. It's great. I'm loving it.
I love doing it, so it's a win-win.
It's definitely a win-win. It's fabulous. And
Hey,
speaking of
guys,
win-wins,
sorry, just 1 second. I already noticed a win-win, but what about me and Alex? Shouldn't that be a win-win-win-win?
this is true.
Another one for the audience.
This is basically a quadruple win. This is a win quad.
A what?
Yes, we are all winners on this show today. No doubt about it.
And the listeners too.
And the listeners. Let's see now. If we add those in, now we're way beyond quad.
That's quite.
I mean, we're up in the hundreds and thousands at that point. So, speaking of which, I can now announce that the Android version of the app is now updated with Dan's programs with both Beyond Intention audio course and also the Money Game ebook. Both of them are on there, so that's updated. On the iPhone side, we're just waiting for Apple to approve. It is submitted, and the thing about Apple is you never know how long they're going to take. Sometimes they do it in a half an hour, sometimes it's a week. So we just have to see. But as soon as that one's done, it's going to be on both sides. And then, oh my God, watch out, David. I mean, then that's when the questions are going to start coming hot and heavy. There's going to be so many people asking questions. So this is going to be an easy episode for you because they haven't lined up yet. But that's going to change. I'm telling you, that's going to change. So good stuff happening. Really good
loves
stuff.
A good workout, so that's.
So
Did you add David to the lineup of co-hosts on the app?
David is on the app as a co-host. So is Amy, who's our new person on Monday. So yep, all the hosts are updated, which is a good thing. And in fact, on the Android side, some of the people may have gotten the app with the little icon that appears on your home screen, not showing LOA Today, but that should be fixed now too. So when you get the update, that's also fixed. And there's also a new contact page. The method that I was using before, some people it wasn't working for because this hadn't occurred to me, but apparently some people don't use their phones for emails, so I couldn't link in directly to their emails. Now we're just using a form, and they just click the form, and the form comes right to us without having to go through their email at all.
Who doesn't use their phone for email?
I'm just telling you, that's what some people do.
I think some people use they don't use the native email function on their phone. They use like an email thing like a Gmail.
That's true. Yeah.
That's what Olga does too.
You can track that in so that it does that automatically.
But not everybody knows how to do that.
I use Yahoo, but it's tracked into my phone, so when I hit my email button, it goes to my Yahoo.
If you know how to do that, that's wonderful.
Yeah, but you have Android.
I do have Android. Android likes to walk you through things.
Yeah.
Tell you how to do it. Apple's like, figure it out. Call Siri.
Speaking of walking through things, you walked through something with your hair and all the color went away.
I did.
You were telling us before the show. You were telling us before the show, this is the first time that the public has seen your natural hair color since high school. Is that right?
In high school, yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
I am cheating a little bit. There's a couple of blonde highlights in here. But.
That's all right. We won't tell about that.
This is all for you, David. You are the recipient of this honor. It's like an honor of you.
I was going to say, if we're having a hair topic, I don't have a whole lot to
Well, think of it this way. It just means that your translation on that is short.
Very short.
Thank you, Daniel. So anyway, let's start switching over to talking to the stream because I know I've got some questions, and I'm kind of expecting one of these days Alex is going to say she has questions. She hasn't said so yet, but I'm kind of expecting.
I mean, I was only here for like half the time last time, so today I'm feeling good. So I'm here for the whole show.
That's good. Well, that's another thing to celebrate.
So I'm looking forward to it. So I will bring our friends in.
All right. So while you're doing that, first of all, I want to remind people the app is now officially out. It's all out on Android. It's almost all out on iOS on the Apple side. So this is going to be the go-to place now to get your daily dose of happy every single day. Plus, you get Daniel's free gifts, his audio course, and his ebook. And there's going to be more stuff coming down the road just because you have the app. So get the app, download it. It's real simple to do. Just go to the Play Store or the App Store and look for LOA Today. I mean, how much easier do you want it to be? It can't be any easier than that.
I want it easier.
How much easier would you like it?
I want it to automatically download onto my phone when I get a new one.
I don't like your line of questioning, to be honest. Well, I find it aggressive.
This is a tough audience.
Tough crowd.
Whoa. You're used to this, Alex. I mean, you've done stand-up. What happens when you deal with a tough crowd? What do you do?
I ignore them.
You ignore them?
Yeah. Or I'm like, that's my time. Okay. Just walk away.
Oh God. All right. Well, let's check in with the stream and see if the stream is here. Stream, have you joined us?
We are here.
Yeah, I felt that.
All right. They are here. So welcome once again. Thank you for agreeing to spend this time with us, even though there's no time from your perspective. But since there is from our perspective, we appreciate it very much because from our perspective, time is valuable. So thank you very much. I'm ready to ask questions, Alex, but I also want to give you the chance first. Do you have something you want to go with, or should I go?
You should go. I'm still waiting for this computer to catch up with me so I can hashtag.
Oh, so you can do the hashtags? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to just carry on a little bit along the lines of what Louis D'Souza was asking about last week, although I'm going to take it in somewhat of a different direction.
Oh, I do have a question.
Well, okay, then go right ahead.
Okay, for those of us who are new, what is the stream?
Ooh, basics. I love it.
Yeah.
We are consciousness.
Okay.
We are not, David is, this discussion happened today. And in fact, David has often described us as non-physical entities. And that is really not true.
Okay.
Everything that you are perceiving, you are always perceiving from a human perspective. Mm-hmm. Beyond physical, there is an energetic realm. And of course, you are in it. Mm-hmm. You are part of the energetic realm that is flowing through all physical creation, and you are always a part of it. But you are perceiving a physical existence at this time, in this instance, as the human being that you are perceiving that you are in this experience. Mm-hmm. We are not that, but we flow through all creation. So therefore, we are indeed physical and non-physical, just as you are.
Okay.
But we have been called many things. We are not a specific set of beings on a different planet or anything of that nature. That is human perception of the energetic realm, sort of a decoding from a human perspective. Mm-hmm. We are consciousness. We are source, for lack of a better term. Mm-hmm. We are original thought. You are all part of us, and we are absolutely part of all of you and all creation. We are the core of that which you call source energy.
Okay. I like that.
That actually led beautifully into kind of where I was going. So let me pick up the question from that point and say, okay, from what you just said, I glean from that source energy is physical. It's not just something that is kind of now you see it, now you don't. It's actually there, and it has physicality.
Because we are connected to physical creations. So of course, we understand that you would want to describe us as non-physical because we are of the energetic realm, but you are of the energetic realm, and we are all connected. So to clarify that we are not physical beings that are specific beings on a planet somewhere that are communicating telepathically via David, it is simpler to say that we are non-physical. that makes it very easy to understand. But we want to be very clear that we are all connected, that we flow through all of you. That is why when you stop and remove fear and judgment and listen to our words resonate so highly with you.
I guess what I'm thinking is when I think of consciousness, specifically of my own consciousness, I imagine that to mean something that is not so much physical as it is spiritual. And I can't tell you what I mean by spiritual because I'm not sure what I mean by it. But in my mind, I separate that as being somehow not physical. But from what you're saying, it is not only all interconnected, it's so interconnected that it's actually not meaningful to in any way describe consciousness as anything but a physical thing. Consciousness is not some sort of ethereal thing. It's just, it actually has some physicality and it should be treated as such. And that's a new concept for me.
You can use your mind and your imagination to create any mechanism to bridge the gap between what you are told that you are as a human being and what we describe as the energetic realm that you are part of. That imaginary creation, and you all do this. This is, you label these angelic beings, ascended masters, your guides, all of these human labels that you have placed on things. Understand that there is nothing wrong with any of that. That is sure. You using your imagination to bridge that gap and create, if you will, a being in your mind to communicate with. And that, as a human being, is an extremely useful tool.
Oh, yeah. It is a useful tool. It's just that it's also, I think, helpful to, it's helpful, I'll say this for me, and maybe this is not true for everybody, but for me, it's helpful to have a sense of how that connectedness of everything actually connects, how it actually fits. I mean, it's one thing to say it's all connected, but it's another thing to experience it as a connection. So in physical form, or excuse me, I got to change my way of talking. In human form, I'm used to thinking about spirituality as being, like you said, something that's non-physical, something that I don't quite get. It's kind of ethereal. It's kind of like a vague thing that it doesn't seem to have any particular location. It doesn't seem to have any particular structure to it other than thought, whatever that is. And even thought is something that's very much of an abstraction. That's the word I'm looking for. A lot of these seem like abstractions. And the way you're explaining them, they sound much more concrete than the way I'm treating them. So I'm fascinated by that. I'm fascinated by, okay, I have this misconception. I've been treating all these as abstractions, and they're not mere abstractions. They're more than that.
In the same way that many who channel will identify that which they are channeling as a being on a specific being on a different planet. Mm-hmm. Very often with a name that is very sci-fi like.
Right.
Galaldamor from the planet Galactagon and things of this nature that you hear. That is that human being, their imagination based on what they've absorbed in their human experience, creating an image of a being that is very likely very real to them. And they are tapping into the energetic realm, but their imagination is creating this image to bridge that gap, just as you do in your dream state. And we are using some language that we understand is entertaining, but we are not trying to make fun of the process,
right?
Because the process is indeed useful to you.
It is. It's very useful, and this is leading me in areas I had never even considered as a possibility. What I'm entertaining in my mind right now is the idea that I can, in some way, grasp a matter type connection, and I've always inferred that matter was sort of like energy that had been shaped in a sense, and that I mean, from what human scientists know about matter, in terms of quantum physics, which is about as far as we've evolved in that sense. Matter is kind of, well, it's a now you see it, now you don't kind of a thing. Depending on how you do your tests, you can detect that there's matter there, or you can detect that, whoops, where did it go? It wasn't quite there in the first place. You try to track down, you try to track down protons and neutrons and electrons, and it's now you see them, now you don't. It's almost like the man behind the curtains playing games.
It is
So,
the energetic realm. The energy can take such a forceful convergence, if you will, that you have what you would perceive as matter that can lower in vibration and no longer be what you would call matter.
wow, lower in vibration. I would have thought it would have been the other way around. I thought it would have been raising in vibration so high that it would cease to be material matter.
There is a flow, indeed.
So it can work either way, is what you're saying.
There's sort of a lower vibrational of not having the convergence that would appear to you as something being matter, and then that vibration speeding up so much that there is sort of a window of discernment from a human perspective at this time.
Mm-hmm.
Your science, of course, is going to continue to evolve, and there will be a time where that perception will be more available to you.
Mm-hmm.
Just as your other heavenly creations will be more available to you as your technology improves.
Yeah, that's true. I'm sure that's true because that's been the ongoing pattern for generations. It doesn't seem to have slowed down at all. If anything, it seems to have sped up. So,
any idea of like when that's going to happen?
We do not. We will always say that we do not get into the business of getting into physical timelines and
right.
Because the entire reason that physical exists is for the uncertainty of it.
Mm.
Where you're going to go next vibrationally as a planet, as a universe. Mm-hmm. That is the magic of physical. The purpose of physical is that is why very often we will interact with a human being, via David and certainly others in different ways, where we will be labeled as all seeing and all knowing. And can't you just tell us this one thing? Mm. And the truth is what's going to happen in the next moment has infinite possibilities.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And the vibrational shifts are what is going to create that next tangible moment.
Let's talk a little bit more about matter, that indefinable thing that's so hard for scientists to detect, and yet in our human experience, matter seems solid. It just seems absolutely solid to us. Like it's never going to go away. It's always been there. It always will be, which of course is not true, but that's what it feels like. That's what the sensation is like of interacting with matter. You know, you walk into a wall and, oh, you noticed you walked into a wall. You feel it. It's definitely there. And unless you are a fullback, you're going to have trouble going through that wall. Unless there's a door in the way. You know, if there's a door, then you can go through the wall, but forget it otherwise. So it seems very, very solid to us. Can you talk a little bit? Why does it seem so solid when it is so variable?
Because you are in this specific vibration of being human in a physical environment. It is your perception of it, and your perception of it creates your reality. And your reality is physical. That is the perceiving is a physical version of perceiving. So you are in the vibration of that wall being solid, and at this time your physical being not being able to pass through it.
Mm. Yeah, and it's an amazing experience, that's for sure, and a little bit disconcerting if you do it at high speed. You know what I mean, Alex? You know what I'm saying?
A little bit.
So, okay. Let's play with it a little bit further then. If we were to, I don't know how we would accomplish this, but if by some thought process we could temporarily switch ourselves over into the way of experiencing things that Source Energy does, that you as Source Energy do, and what we call the non-physical. I don't have a better way of labeling the kind of existence you have, so I don't have a way of describing that better. But whatever that is, I'd like to have some sense of what it's like to live like that, as opposed to the way we live as humans.
You absolutely have access to that. And again, we have delivered many tools, including guided meditations, that there was one that we delivered called Source Connect.
Okay.
David has also referred to it as a practice of zooming out or seeing through the eyes of Source.
Okay.
And you all have that ability. You absolutely can exit your physical bodies, your consciousness, and refocus your consciousness outside of yourselves. Astral projection and things like this that are documented. And many of you have had such experiences. Very often you're doing it in sort of that twilight state of sort of having a foot in each world, if you will, and you were sort of waking from your dream state where you were completely out and bringing that otherworldly awareness into your physical and having an experience that you may call an out-of-body experience. But you can activate that consciousness in a meditation. And again, you use your imagination to make that happen. You are not imagining that you are out of your body. Your imagination creates the scenario where you indeed are removing your consciousness from your body.
Okay.
Even in a waking meditation.
All right. Well, then I guess I'm doing it more often than I realized, which is good to know.
You are, and you can take it higher and higher and higher and get more and more clear. And this is one of the techniques that David teaches is zooming out. And teaches it has brought himself to a place and is now teaching it to others through a set of tools that take some time and effort on your part to learn. It's not something that most of you are going to pick up instantaneously because it is so counter to what you're taught on your planet. And the vibration of your planet is one of a very 3D set of rules, if you will, that you are now all moving beyond at different levels. And this zooming out is about observing anything that is happening on your planet in 3D. And instead of allowing your vibration to plummet over it, where you have nothing to offer in solution of, zooming out to our perspective of non-fear and non-judgment and viewing whatever that is from that zoomed out space and having a very, very different experience of clarity and non-judgment of what's happening. And it keeps your vibration from plummeting. David was exposed to a video recently that was allegedly of a child being tortured.
Oof.
Full audio and very disturbing on a human level. But he was able to zoom out and absorb the video and see the content through a different lens of non-fear and non-judgment. Is not meaning that he is suddenly okay with something like that happening.
Right.
But imagine how powerful you are when you can absorb information such as that and remain zoomed out and keep your vibration high. You are far more powerful in the solving of something in that high vibrational state.
Right. Yeah.
The reason that you have these ongoing problems on your planet, and we understand that we are speaking to others who understand how law of attraction works. When you are pushing against something and fearful of it and allowing it to plummet your vibration, you have nothing positive or corrective, if you will, from your perspective to offer to that scenario. Zoom out is a very, very, very powerful tool.
Yeah, I can see why it would be, because it not only gives you perspective, in a sense, it distances you. I mean, it's not really a distance, but in a sense, it distances you from the thing so that you can kind of regain control over your own response to it, rather than responding by default, which is what usually ends up happening on a day-to-day basis, where we are people who are familiar with just, well, here's what's happening, so it's going to make me feel a certain way, which of course is not true, but that's what we end up deciding.
And we often use extreme examples of things. And the reason we use extreme examples is because we want to get your attention. And we mean the listener's attention, that when you hear these extreme examples and you cannot begin to wrap your mind around how someone would view a video such as that and not plummet.
Right.
And not plummeting is not the same as enjoying. We are not anticipating that the majority of you would enjoy anything of that nature, nor did David. But not lowering the vibration of, zooming out and seeing it as a physical experience that is being perceived in that moment by an eternal being who is not going to be ended in a scenario such as that, regardless of the outcome of it. It is a very different experience for a human being, but you're all placed on this path of feeling like victims and placed on this path of not having control, and that there is evil in your world and you must push and fight against your evil, and notice that you have not ended evil in recorded time of humanity on your planet. There are things that you consider evil all around you. You're in a contrasting environment. So if you start viewing these things differently, and the reason that we give you such an extreme example very often is so that then we can pull the conversation back down to what's really happening in your lives. Because we are not expecting any of you to tomorrow start zooming out and absorbing child torture and seeing it the way someone who has done a decade of work does. But you can learn that in a shorter amount of time. But what we are offering is for you to zoom out on topics that are personal to you, on the things that do lower your vibration at this time in your own personal lives, whatever it is, to be able to zoom out and have a very different perspective of it so that it's not lowering your vibration. You are in a higher power of higher vibrational state of non-fear and non-judgment. And from there, you can change anything about your experience as a human being that you wish to change and contribute to the collective consciousness evolution of experience.
Since we're talking, we started this conversation because of Alex at going back to the basics kind of level. Let's talk about the basics of why it's so important to stay at that high vibration. You kind of alluded to it in the last bit there that you talked about, but let's talk about that some more. Why is it so important to stay high vibe?
Oh, it is not necessarily important to stay high vibe. You are all here. We will speak in terms of humanity. All
right.
of the human beings that are on your planet right now, we're all here vibrating differently, having different experiences. The vast majority are not ready for this and are not here listening to this. Mm-hmm. And there is a reason for that, because this would be so off the wall to them that they could not comprehend it and would label it some derogatory label very often and move on from it.
Oh yeah, they probably rejected it as something satanic or something like that.
Absolutely, because you again have this sort of templated life that you have all been taught to live that is very controlled and very fear based, and it actually does cause your humanity to function in such a way that has brought you to where you are now. Mm-hmm. But there are always those that are at the forefront of thought, that are questioning, that are wondering what's different, what's out there, questioning everything that they've been taught. And it is very often described as the leading edge of thought. Mm-hmm. And those of you that delve into this with an open mind, without fear and judgment, if you will, are contributing to the leading edge of thought. And this leading edge of thought, it requires keeping your vibration up. And the more you raise, we very often refer to default vibration. The more you work on raising your default vibration, your lives will improve because you are in higher vibration most of the time. And when you are up in your higher vibration, you are attracting the things that you want because you're in high vibration. You're believing your dreams. You're believing in yourselves. You're loving yourselves. You're up in that high territory so that more of the things that you want are flowing right to you. When you allow yourselves to dip down into lower vibration, you begin canceling those things out, slowing them down. And then you go low enough and suddenly you're attracting many unwanted things. Mm-hmm. This is what polarity is all about. This is why you operate on this spiral that we speak of all the time, to guarantee that you have a mix of positive and negative. Those of you that wish to have more of the things that you want and less of the things that you don't want are coming to understand, like humanity has never understood before en masse, that raising your default vibration is the key to that. The byproduct of that is the bigger picture, that actually activates what many of you call a spiritual awakening.
Which I've never really had a good definition of anyway. So let's talk about that a little bit. What is a spiritual awakening, and what's a good way for me to understand what that is?
All of these terms are sort of big tent terms that do mean lots of different things to different people.
They do. Yeah.
And we take David's vocabulary and get really specific. In fact, we've even delivered a glossary of how we use his vocabulary. Mm-hmm. Okay. And in the case of our being shared through David, we are, of course, limited to his intellect and vocabulary.
Sure.
And that is the magic of this, because he is able to communicate as a human being, utilizing a common language on your planet to convey these thoughts in such a way that other humans can absorb them more clearly than they often allow themselves to absorb their own thoughts. Mm-hmm. You all have access to this. All of you do. But hearing it from another very often resonates or piques your interest and causes you to take your vibration higher and question and think differently and delve into it, if you will. That your curiosities are why you are having us flow right now on this program. So the reason of the raising vibration is what we will label a spiritual awakening, essentially, which is where you are coming more in tune with the higher vibrational version of you, the eternal version of you, your soul consciousness, if you will. And that soul consciousness is always there calling you forward through your life. And if you listen to just that and release your ego altogether, well, then you are no longer having a human experience. You
Right.
would return to your completed state. It would be death.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are balancing these things, you will find that balancing your human ego consciousness and this soul consciousness that is there, balancing this is a very satisfying way for you to live your lives. And you move into a phase of your life with this work that you would need to do to balance these things, to where you are very, very clear about your eternal nature and your connection to source. And suddenly all of the things that you thought you needed to feel joy are no longer necessary to feel joy. This is why you see so many that raise their vibration. They delve into things like this, thinking that they want to learn how to manifest millions of dollars so that they can have yachts and homes and cars and things of that nature, because that is their version of happy. And very often they figure out how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they are never happy.
Yeah, funny
They're
thing.
in a constant cycle of having to buy another company and another home and another
Right.
car and a bigger yacht and impress people more, because it's an insatiable thirst of there's got to be a point of happy when you have the most toys, and you never get there. And we are not here dissuading you from manifesting the material things that you want. You're in a physical environment. There's nothing wrong with that, but understanding that higher self connection, that awakening process is so much more satisfying than any relationship with another human being, with any more satisfying than any experience or material thing or flow of money. That is second to none, because you are sort of coming full circle back to how humanity developed in the first place, where you had this connection that you paid attention to before you started paying attention to your leaders, before your borders were drawn and your governments were formed and your religions developed and all of these tools of control. And you are coming out of that phase now, and you're questioning everything. And in your questioning of all of these things, you are watching the destruction of all of that structure all around you. All of these things that are bubbling to the surface.
Yeah. And as I have expressed on recent episodes, that to me is one of the most fascinating things to watch. My own.
It is a very interesting time for humanity. Because
it really is. Yeah.
You have activated an ascension process on your planet that is causing great disruption, and that disruption is something that we guide you to embrace.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's quite a thing. This is very fascinating. One of the things that you mentioned in your list of things that are not quite as great as having that high level perception, but still interesting to humans, is relationships with others. And when I'm establishing a relationship with others, and I think a lot of people do this, we try to get to know them. We try to find out, what their interests are. How do they spend their time? What do they have hobbies? What do they do for work? Do they have family? We inquire about all that kind of thing. And while I know that most of those questions don't really apply to beings in pure source form, I'm still curious. I would say in human forms, how do you spend your day? But you guys don't think in terms of time, so I'm not sure what the correct way is to phrase it. But how do you spend your day? How do you guys spend your time?
There are no real words to describe how we exist. We are pure positive energy. Mm-hmm. We are omniscient and omnipresent. We are not comparable to a human life whatsoever. Mm-hmm. We say that we are physical because we flow through all physical. Your human mind, because you are perceiving this human experience at this time, cannot possibly comprehend the vastness beyond planet Earth,
right, that
you are part of, where we reside. And it is something that we cannot even describe. There is so much more than what you are perceiving on your planet and your current human life. And we very often, of course, we get questions of this nature and about other life on other planets and things of this nature. We always redirect you back to your human experience, because this is what you're perceiving, and you could spend all of eternity exploring all of that. And,
well, I think we probably are.
And you have the opportunity to do that. But in this perceiving that you're in right now, the state of perception, you can't comprehend that. You can't comprehend the vastness of that which we are. Here we are speaking to you through David.
Yeah.
He's tapped into this consciousness, and he's able to receive this information and speak it right back to you in real time. That he was not always able to do this, but he is able to do this now. Tapped into that line of consciousness that you understand is very different than speaking with David.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's fun.
We are flowing through him so that you can perceive it, and there is a communication, and we stick to what is of true value to you.
One of the things that I gleaned from the numerous Abraham recordings is that Abraham, on occasions, does engage in enjoyment. There's a particular story that I recall where Esther Hicks is looking outside of her house at her property or something in the area and enjoying, the blue sky and the birds and the sun and all this stuff. And then she realizes Abraham is there and says, "Abraham, is that you?" And Abraham says, "Ah, yes, you caught us looking through your eyes, hearing through your ears," and so forth. So that suggests to me that source energy enjoys. And so my question is basically, do you enjoy? Is there stuff that you enjoy?
We enjoy interacting and sort of allowing this focus that is sort of like a funnel that we are coming through and connecting, and we flow through all creation, and certainly we are there in your most joyous moments with all of you. Mm-hmm. You are perceiving things that you appreciate, whether it is the blue sky or a beautiful ocean or even a man-made. David saw a Rolls-Royce convertible that he would very much like to have from his human perspective. And in seeing that, we were there with him, and we shared with him that even things such as that are expressions of that which we are. The ones that got together and placed such a high vibration on an automobile, we're channeling.
Okay.
So when you see something that you discern as your preference as a human being, you are seeing expressions of that which we are. And we are in your state of joy right there with you. And to bring it down to the terminology of experiencing joy, indeed we are. We are pure joy. We are not always bubbly necessarily, but that is very much because David has stripped out as much of his humanity in the sharing of this as possible so that you can get the rawest version of that which we are in these interactions without his peppering it, if you will, with religious teachings or fear-based earthly things. And that is his intentionality. And not every channel is in that same space. And there's nothing wrong with that. We are not judging that, because when a channel peppers in some of their humanity to their channeled message, that channeled message is then reaching an audience that is absolutely the perfect vibrational match to that message.
Sure. Yeah. Which is great. I'm loving it. I do like the idea of knowing about your enjoyment, though, because like you say, I understand everything from a human perspective. Sometimes I enjoy a lot of the distortion that comes out of nowhere. I think we're overflowing the circuits here a little bit, but that's okay. But I like finding out about things that I can connect to from a human perspective. And one of the things I can connect to is enjoyment. So knowing that source energy enjoys, I like that. That feels good.
Is the opposite also true? Do you experience, well, I know you don't experience pain, but, well, yeah, that is the question. Do you experience pain?
When you are, we do not. Pain is a physical. You do not experience pain either. You are perceiving a condition that you have been told is bad, and judging it as bad, and therefore calling it pain. The experiencing of pain, and judging it in a negative way, is a more down the spiral thought process. You actually hold the ability to feel a physical sensation and not necessarily be down your spiral about it. Mm-hmm. Now we are not guiding you to chop off a limb to experiment with this or anything like that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Indeed, it is fine for you to keep your human bodies intact.
Good to know.
The aches and pains that you feel in your body is always a physical manifestation of your resistance to that which you desire that is manifested. And usually there is something smaller that's a smaller warning sign from the universe that you missed or ignored and allowed that disconnection to continue and went down your spiral enough to manifest a physical symptom in your body that you find uncomfortable. And sometimes that physical symptom has manifested in some sort of an ailment, if you will. And by the same token, you manifest an accident the same way. When you were down your spiral and frustrated and you're hammering a nail and you hit your thumb and you feel pain, you are down in a negative space, or that would have never happened in the first place. You would have not manifested that unwanted thing. Yet your perception of pain is that pain is bad. And it is a negative thing. You can actually hit your thumb and understand that you were in lower vibrational state when you hit your thumb and had the accident, if you will. There are no accidents, but we will label it as that. And hit your thumb and had this manifestation of this unwanted thing, and find appreciation for the pain and find appreciation for the fact that you have stopped and offered yourself a disruption to your negative thought pattern.
You mentioned that there's no such. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't know.
And if you get really, really good at this and you get better at this with practice as you do all things, then you're not hitting your thumb anymore. To have to manifest that. There's something else that comes along that you pay more attention to, and you correct that vibration and move up. You are always going to be subject to polarity. So your polarity is going to be sort of tugging you up and down your virtual vibrational spiral as long as you're physical. But getting really tuned into that is what the Taya practice is that we have delivered for David, that he teaches all over the world. Paying attention to being acutely aware of your vibration as a habit, as a lifestyle, and understanding when you start to dip down what to do and what not to do and how to move back up. And then you start moving your default vibration higher and higher and higher. And in your doing that, you activate an awakening within you. And each person's awakening process is different. But it is uncomfortable in the beginning, but you learn to view it differently, judge it differently, and ultimately come to embrace it. And then it becomes a new way of life to where you are continually raising your vibration, getting more and more clarity and developing the ability to zoom out on any topic in your world or in your life. The ones that have taken the Taya program that we have offered are thriving right now. There are none of them that are practicing or are worried about what's going on in your world.
Which is
they
powerful.
Manifested their path through that and have stepped into their true power, and they're thriving. They're excited about what's happening. We guide all of you to that, whether you're doing it through our teachings or somewhere else.
You made a quick reference and then skipped on, but I think it's an important reference from a human perspective about how there's really no such thing as an accident, which I now understand to be true. But it's something that a lot of humans would have trouble with, because it seems from the human perspective that, oh yeah, accidents can happen to anybody at any time. You never know when it's going to happen. Well, those of us who study law of attraction at least have, perhaps on some level, come to grips with the idea of, well, yeah, everything happens for a reason. We attracted all of it. But even those of us who grasp that much very often can trip ourselves up with, yeah, but that happened by accident. Yeah, I attract everything else, but not that thing. We find ourselves just very often getting into a space of defaulting to our old behavior pattern, I guess is a better way of describing it than anything else. But it's a tough concept for us. I mean, it's an important one.
You've been taught to be victims, because when you feel like a victim, you place yourself back in the path of being a victim. And when you believe that unwanted things or bad things happen to good people, if you will, you do not have your power.
Right. And that's a big deal.
And if you do not have your power, then suddenly you have to obey a set of rules to get a set of prizes to live what you have been told is a joyous life.
Mm-hmm.
And you are then serving a different master other than yourself.
Whereas on the flip side, if we truly accept the idea that there is no such thing as an accident, that everything does happen because we attract it, even the things that we didn't intend to attract, we still attracted them. When we can come to grips with that, and to the degree we can stick with that, I find that's when I am most conducive toward the kind of growth you're talking about, toward the growth of my ability to kind of, I wouldn't call it separate, to distance myself, perhaps it's the better way of saying it, to distance myself from the troubles of the planet. There's so many of them, but it's gotten to the point now where, I mean, there was a time where I wouldn't watch the news at all. I still don't watch the news on television, but I wouldn't even tap into the news. And then I started doing it kind of indirectly and, checking it through Google and stuff like that. But it's gotten to the point now where very often I'll see something, I don't like it. I can feel that I don't like it, but I don't have that urgent desire to respond saying, oh, how could that have happened? That has gone. And I know it's because I've done the work on myself, but that is a big deal. And I think it all starts from
freeing practice. And the more of you are doing this, this is why your institutions are faltering.
Well, yeah, which is cool.
You are seeing that you do not need them.
Yeah.
And you are becoming more fearless in your questioning of things that your conspiracy theories, if you will, which are rampant right now.
No kidding.
They're bubbling up. Everything is a conspiracy, and the bubbling up will actually end up being a very good thing for your planet because a lot of truth will be uncovered, and other things are not true, and there will be some casualties and all of that of innocent people who are accused of things that they did not do. But you're in a contrasting world, and it is our promise to you that every single one of those experiences was a co-creative experience between the one that it is happening to and all the other related parties.
That's a scary word too. That co-creative. I mean, we hear that through Abraham originally, and we hear it now more and more when we can get through the static. But that co-creation term, it sounds very clean and neat the first time we heard it, and then over time we realize, wow, that's got a lot of meat to it. And I mean,
people inevitably dive into, I was abused as a child. How did I co-create that?
Yeah.
And the truth is that from a soul consciousness perspective, you all choose your point of entry into your planet, and your point of entry is contrasting automatically. Your parents are going to deliver contrast to you regardless of how well-intentioned they were when you were born. They are just going to, because you were born up to speed with the time that you come in, and they were born up to speed with the time that they did. And then you're all vibrational beings on your own independent journeys. Your parents' only job truly is to bring you into the planet. Everything else after that is contrast. Even if they are not involved, if they drop you off on a doorstep somewhere, that is your path that you placed yourself in. Even the stillborn, the aborted, all of that, that's all a risky path that is taken for the experience of it. And those that are born into a scenario where they were abused at a young age, that path was laid out perhaps prior to their entry. And even if it wasn't, it was a vibrational path that was manifested by the child very often because of fear that is absorbed. And it is not about the child wanting it or deserving it or working out karma or anything of that nature. It is simply your contrasting human environment where you are all manifesting certain things from the get-go, and they're not all what you would consider positive. But just imagine the ones that come and are born into such privilege that everything from your human perspective is happening to them as positive. And look what happens to them very often is they move through life. They create their own contrast down the road for the experience that is offered of it. We are not guiding you to embrace children being abused in any way. We are not saying that. We are saying that it's the perspective of the victimhood and hanging that label on another human being is not doing them any favors. Bringing everyone to the realization that you are living in a contrasting environment. Positive and negative things happen to all people, and certainly some people manifest more negative than others. But the more negative that you've manifested, the more opportunities you have manifested to step out of that and dramatically shift your vibration in the learning from all of that. David is an example of that. Many of you who practice what you would call spirituality or having an awakening experience are doing so because there is work that you've had to do because of past traumas to get to this space where you are now able to zoom out well beyond one who has not had those experiences.
Yeah. And that can be a cause of confusion too, because if we're not really aware of that fact that yes, we have done this work, yes, we have kind of zoomed out, but we don't necessarily perceive ourselves as having zoomed out. We often think, well, we're just continuing to participate in the physical world. We're participating in human life. Nothing really changed. And yet it did change. We were the ones who changed. We changed in ways that we didn't even realize we were changing. But it also changed our dynamic with the other people we deal with.
Change your perspective of what occurred. And one thing that we want to leave all of you with in this conversation is that everything that has happened up until this physical moment that you're perceiving right now only exists as your recollection of.
Mm.
And you have the power to shift your recollection. And we are not talking about burying it. We're talking about asking yourself, how did you manifest that exploration? And you may not come to that conclusion right away. This may be something that takes some time. We are not guiding you to go dwell on it necessarily, but to take ownership of it. It is your manifestation. Say to yourself, how did I manifest that? I set an intention to understand how I manifested that. And then the second part of it, the more important part of it, and how did it serve me? How is it going to serve me?
Is it always a good idea to ask that question?
How did it serve you, or how did you manifest?
How did I manifest? Well, the first one is how did I manifest it? The second one.
If you can ask yourself that question from a zoomed out perspective of you manifest everything is a manifestation. Everything. How did you? Do not beat yourselves up to find the answer to that. Set an intention for that answer to emerge when the time is right.
Right.
Leave it alone and make your work being up in higher vibration. If you're going to lower your vibration to go do that work and start sifting and digging, then of course you're going to take yourself back into that space. So that was a very good follow-up question indeed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's important. Basically, that goes back to what you were talking about regarding balance, I think. The balance between the ego and I still don't have a good label for what we used to call the non-physical realm. I need a better label. Any ideas?
We refer to it as your soul consciousness.
Soul consciousness? Okay.
Most soul is somewhat interchangeable. There are religions that use that term, and then there are spiritual teachings that use that term.
Okay.
Everyone understands what it means, and most identify it as something that is beyond your physical being that is eternal.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'll go with that one. Soul consciousness. Okay, so that's my new go-to term in place of non-physical.
Ego consciousness and soul consciousness, and holding those two things in balance, not diminishing the ego. This idea of diminishing your ego and trying to live your human experience as a soul consciousness being in a robe on a mountaintop, fasting and meditating your life away, it can be your preference, but there is no judgment from us that is guiding any of you to do that.
Mm-hmm.
We are guiding you to live your human lives and to make your mistakes and do the bad things. Eat the meat, drink the alcohol, do the things that you want to do. There's no judgment from us on any of that. But have it in balance. Understand that food and drink and drugs and all of those sort of things, if you are covering up your connection to the wholeness of who you are, you're going to get addiction from that, or you're going to have a negative experience with it. But you are here to experience being human. Whatever you discern is your preference. And if your preference is that, there's no judgment on that. But there are many that enter into this spiritual teaching, and suddenly there's yet another set of rules assigned.
Oh, yeah. That's true. And
spirituality is the new religion.
That kept me away from spirituality for the longest time. So I totally appreciate what you're talking about.
David does not particularly like the term spirituality. In fact, he used to call what we delivered, the set of teachings, as the Taya spiritual practice, because he wanted to communicate that it was a spiritually based practice.
Mm-hmm.
But he now calls it for a while, the Taya mindset practice, and now he calls it the Taya practice.
Okay.
Because the idea of spirituality has so many connotations of rules.
Yeah. Yeah, going back to what we talked about earlier on.
You can't eat that. You must do this. You must not do that.
Right.
You know, all of these things, that's all human creation. That there are no rules.
So let's talk about balance for a bit, because balance definitely is at the core of a lot of what you've been telling us about here. And it's certainly at the core of a lot about what we talk about here on the program 5 days a week. So let's talk about balance. From your perspective, what makes good balance?
Good balance is appreciating all of it, the positive and the negative, because you are operating on the virtual vibrational spiral. Polarity is pulling you down. You're going to manifest problems in your lives. You can delve into law of attraction all you want. You can be as intentional as you can possibly be in your manifestations, and you're still going to have a obstacle that arrives because you are here for the obstacles. The obstacles inspire new creation. So when you start appreciating your down the spiral time, you are spending less time down there because you understand that you all fuel that time. You get down there, especially those of you that are delving into what you call law of attraction. You get down in the lower vibration. What do? Oh my gosh, I can't be down here. I'm down my spiral right now. This is terrible. I'm miscreating. I'm attracting my obstacles. And what are you doing? You're just spiraling further and further down. You're judging yourselves.
Yeah.
And your releasing of the judgment of your DTS time, your down the spiral time, you're able to move up more gracefully and understand that you absolutely are creating some unwanted things while you're down there. And we guide you not to fear that, because the unwanted things are the very thing that are going to guide you to create something new that are going to expand you in whatever it is. Those of you that operate your businesses understand that you have these crises that arrive in your businesses. And very often your solving of that crisis makes your business stronger and better than ever before. That is true on all topics. The illness that flows through your body is not a negative manifestation. It's something that you absolutely attract that only makes you stronger. And if it doesn't make you stronger and it facilitates your exit from this planet, meaning death, that was your true intention anyway. It did its job. We guide you not to fear illness, not to fear death. Again, David jokes that he is not out licking shopping carts in this era of COVID. But living in fear of such things is futile, because you are going to end up attracting something of like nature to that which you fear.
Yeah, I've been making the point to select humans that I encounter that the COVID, because that's what your allusion there was to the COVID virus, and that I've been trying to make the point that COVID starts in the human mind, that yes, there are physical symptoms. Yes, there are physical elements involved, but it all starts in the human mind. It
started as consciousness. It spread via fear, and then it became a tool to be used for mass control. And you are all co-conspirators of this, because you're all playing in the 3D version of it. And ultimately, we are guiding you not to judge it, because there's nothing wrong with it. It's a tool for your ascension, ultimately. Because look what it's done. Look at the mass fear has created a shift in the way you live your lives. It has created a shift on your planet as far as your environment goes. It has created a shift in your focus to uncovering things that you may deem unsavory that you wish to solve on your planet. We are speaking of racial tension. We are speaking of your conspiracy theories. We're speaking of questioning your institutions of control, which includes your government, your religion, your police, and even the monarchy. All of it. And we are not saying that we are guiding you to abolish all of these things, but certainly delve deeper into question the need for. How much control do you need? If you did not have rules and laws and judgment, you would not need rules and laws and judgment. We really want to get that point across, that the control came before the misdeeds, if you will.
That resonates with me on so many different levels, and I'm hopeful that it resonates with listeners here on so many levels, because, oh boy, that just feels completely right to me. So thank you for sharing that. It's a good place to draw this particular session to a close, because, and I want to continue probably next time, assuming, of course, the questions don't start rolling in a big way, which I think they may do. But if there's still time where I can have the direct questioning time, I'm going to ask more about the control thing next week. So thank you very much for joining us today's stream. We appreciate that beyond measure. I mean, Abraham talks about how this is a co-creation process, and certainly with you, this is a co-creation process, but co-creation almost doesn't even do it justice. Really, this is a fabulous experience. Thank you very much for joining us.
Much love. That is all we have.
So while David is reconnecting with his human self, I just want to remind people that was kind of a summary of saying, yes, you listeners can ask questions too. I mean, this is one of the reasons we are bringing David and the Stream of David onto the show on a weekly basis. So send in your questions. Now that you have an app where you can actually send in a question, how cool is that? The new app does have a new contact form. You can send in a question that way, and I promise you we will include your question in an upcoming Tuesday show with David and the Stream of David. So send in your questions. And of course, that does mean, once again, you have to download the app if you have not yet downloaded the app, which fortunately is very simple to do. You just go to your App Store or your Play Store, depending on what kind of device you have. Search for LOA Today using the magnifying glass. How about that? It pops right up. You open it, you install it, and now you've got it. And now you're listening through the app. You're interacting with us through the app. You're getting Daniel's great programs. First of all, I have to just take a moment to talk about what he gave us. He gave us his audio course, Beyond Intention, which is based on his book. And it's a marvelous course. Daniel, I was listening to it as I was working on this stuff. You did a great job on that course. You synthesized this stuff down into, it was like maybe like an hour's worth of material, but it was great the way you synthesized that down. So thank you for giving that to us. And then you also gave us the Money Game ebook. I mean, it was two gifts for the price of nothing. And they're both on the app. Personally, I want to thank you for all the help you gave me to get it on the app, because we had to go through some technical stuff. But I want to thank you on an energetic level too for giving us such a wonderful gift.
Oh yeah, the whole reason we have a waiting room now. Yeah.
It was a wonderful experience from a contrast perspective, because like Alex said, it did encourage me to start using a waiting room, and it worked. So good stuff. So David, once again, thank you so much for what you're doing. I'm so pleased that you love doing that so much, because I love hearing it. I know our listeners love hearing it.
There is nothing like the feeling of having that flow.
What's it like from your perspective? I mean, how do you feel it? How do you experience it?
I have this, I talk often about, I had this sort of awakening in 2010 at the base of my spine, this energy burst. Mm-hmm. And ever since then, when I'm in high vibration, I get buzzy, just buzzy all over. Well, I've done a lot of work since that time to keep my vibration higher, get it higher and higher and higher.
Sure.
This Taya practice is basically what I created for myself to keep my vibration going up. And started out working on my life, and then ultimately ended up channeling with it. So the feeling is just very buzzy and alive and positive beyond belief. It's hard to describe. It just, there are times that I have a very powerful interaction, and I think Dan has been around when I've done this, where I'm in tears when I come back.
Wow.
The tears just start bursting from my eyes. After some of these super powerful interactions.
Like
so major emotional reaction.
Yeah.
Apart from the weird person that came on with the boss.
It just feels really good.
I don't
remember a whole lot of it. I'm kind of there for it in the background.
That's quite a job that you're doing. I mean, it's work. I mean, apparently it's
I'm pretty exhausted. Yeah, because you have that type of energy flowing through you. It can be really exhausting. I just have to go decompress a little bit.
Sure. Yeah.
I can't dive right back into work, or something like that. So, but it just feels amazing. It does feel absolutely amazing. I'm thrilled to be able to do it.
Well, before you decompress, you got to tell people more about how to find Taya. Taya is TYA. What does it stand for?
TYA stands for Trust Your Abundance, because all of this LOA stuff, it all comes down to trust. If we are releasing fear and trusting the universe, even when it looks like we're not getting what we want, because the universe works that way, right?
Oh, yeah.
Even when it looks like we're not getting what we want, if we continue to trust, we end up being taken care of very, very well. And I have come to a place in my life. I used to be very specific about stuff, wanting to have $1 million home and this kind of car and this kind of, life and all of that. And I have since learned to sort of let go of all that and just say, hey, you decide, universe. I want well-being. You show me what that looks like. And it just, it's more incredible. The experiences are more incredible than anything I could ever conjure on my own. So I love it.
Even convertible Rolls Royces.
What?
Even more than convertible Rolls Royces. That's what the stream referred to during the conversation.
Oh, really?
Said that David likes, convertible Rolls Royces.
I'm a car person. Yeah. I was going to say I have a convertible Mercedes is what I drive, but
okay.
I'm a Rolls Royce. What are you talking about? I'll take one. If the universe
Yeah, right.
gives me one, I'll take one. I want the Rolls Royce for sure.
Well, I went to the
I looked at them. I stopped the other day. There's a Bentley Rolls Royce dealer, Lamborghini and Aston Martin. You know, again, it's a car guy. It's a playground, right? I stopped the other day. Yeah, you know, I'd take one. But anyway,
you're not proud.
yeah, no, I'll definitely, if I manifest that. The car that I have was quite a manifestation. I'm very, you know, I just, the whole way all of that stuff comes together is so magical. Again, you know, that was such a manifestation for me. I just love living life like that. You know, that these magical things just appear, you know.
We'll have to make that a point too, to get more conversation with you about some of your own experiences interacting with the stream and how you ended up using it in your life, because that's probably a fun story too.
Yeah, and Taya, again,
we didn't really answer that question, did we?
Yeah, so Taya is a mindset practice that I developed for myself, and then I started teaching it to other people about 2.5 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I have a Taya boot camp, and Taya boot camp is for people that are ready to really get in and activate an awakening. We say awakening to abundance now, because I used to really focus on abundance, and what was happening, people got in and started doing this work of, you know, viewing things very differently in their lives, all day meditation, not, you know, for 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes at night. It's getting into that meditative space almost all the time, essentially raising your default vibration and being very intentional with your purpose in life. And it activates an awakening process. People start channeling, people heal themselves. You know, you can go to my YouTube channel and see the testimonial videos from people that have gone through boot camp. The stories are just endless.
I'm joining.
Yeah, I can't wait to have you on there.
Something else, and I'm jumping into boot camp.
So you go through boot camp, and then when you get out of boot camp, you can get into Taya Mastery. And I already want Dan in Mastery, but you got to go through boot camp first. And Mastery is it's a mastermind group for people that have gone through Taya. And we always joke that the only rule of Taya is that there are no rules, and the only secret to mastery is that we're never going to master it. We're always going to, it's evolutionary. You know, we're getting better and better, but the group that's in there, we're just, you know, life is just magical, so incredibly magical. And we really are delving into the forefront of thought as a mastermind, which is really cool. And then the things that we come up with trickle back into the boot camp scenario, which is life-changing in and of itself. So it's a magical thing that they've delivered that I love teaching, and I'm going to teach it one way or the other for the rest of my life.
And as you were describing that, I realized that what you're describing could sound, I mean, it actually sounds a little intimidating to me too. And it probably could be intimidating to a number of listeners, because you made reference to like an all-day meditation. And I know my own.
I'm glad you brought that up. It's living your life. It's living your life source connected, up your spiral and high vibration.
Well, that's important, because I mean, I'm having to go earn a living and deal with you know, family and all this other stuff too.
But it's just such a cool way to live. Like last week, you know, the lawn people were here, and I heard this big pop, and I walk out back, and I'm living in a newly remodeled home. Everything's brand new, and big glass sliding door shattered.
Oh boy.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, look at that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You know, I'm not in a rage. I'm not upset. I wasn't, you know, it's like, oh, wow, okay.
What a thing.
The lawn guys were kind of acting like it didn't happen. And I was like, I mean, and it just all came together brilliantly. And, you know, it's a magical way to live life. And you can get in. I have a Facebook group called Taya Global Awakening. And it's a free group. All you have to do is, you know, you answer a couple of questions. You know, I do want to maintain integrity in the group. I want to make sure people are in there for the right reasons. But you answer a couple of questions, I let you in the group, and then you're in there, and you can start learning more and more and more about Taya in that group for free, no obligation. And then boot camp is something that in fact, I'm about to put out a video today where we're going to start doing hour sessions for free. I mean, generally my channeling sessions are $197 an hour. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to do these for free to just meet with people and see where they are in their ascension process, what Taya could mean to them. You know, in some of these meetings, you know, every single person that does the meeting with me, they exit with a strategy. Either they're getting into boot camp or they have a strategy to get in. And our most recent graduate, she's on YouTube now. She was homeless when she got into boot camp.
Wow.
Homeless single mother got into boot camp, graduated, paid for it way ahead of schedule, has her own home on the beach now. I'm not kidding.
Wow.
And her own car, and she's taking care of her child. She doesn't have to bother with her child's father unless he wants to give her money. She doesn't care. She doesn't need it. I mean, how empowering.
No
and she's
kidding.
in that video just glowing. It's an amazing testimonial. It brings me to tears almost to talk about it.
What kind of financial investment are we talking about for Taya?
I always make you get on the call with me to tell you that. It's
it's one of those.
not
Okay.
cheap. It's not cheap, but I want you to get on the call with me because if I start spitting out numbers and you're like, oh, I can never afford that, you never do the call.
That's true.
You never do the call. And people are like, well, you must be evasive. Well, I'm giving you the call for free. First of all, you spend an hour with me talking about it. Then we figure out a manifestation strategy for you to get in. But it's not an inexpensive boot camp because we put so much into it, because you're not going to get in and change your vibration and change your default without doing some work in a controlled environment with tools and coaching over a period of time. So you're in there for 12 weeks. So 12 weeks of coaching with myself and other Taya coaches. You have a mentor that you're assigned to. It's a big deal. It doesn't take tons and tons of time because you're learning how to do this in your daily life. But it's a mental investment for sure. And it's a financial investment. It's a time investment. It's not for everybody. It's for people that
and yet apparently it's something that even if you were to say the number, it might sound scary right now. But
the number would scare you. The number would absolutely scare you. That's why.
But even with that scary number, the fact that a homeless woman with a child was able to pay it off quickly, that should be encouraging.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what she did. Anybody that comes to me with sort of a plan, she came to me with a plan, and I said, that's why I like to do the call. Are you ready for it? Because if you're ready for it, we're going to figure out how to get you in there. That's why I don't want to throw a price out because somebody says, oh my God, it's that much. I could never do that. No, forget it. I don't want to scare people off because I've had so many people come to me with no money. Rona in Chicago, she was unemployed when she got into boot camp. Unemployed. And we put a plan together. Within 2 weeks, she was paid in full in boot camp.
Because ultimately, it isn't the amount that matters. It's, do I feel I have a way to pay that? Because if I feel I have a way to pay that, then it doesn't matter what the amount is. Because if I'm going to get the benefit of it.
Everybody that wants to get in can get in. That's the point. It ends up being free, essentially, because you can get in and manifest them. Either you manifest the money to get in, or the people that are not freaked out about how much it costs. And I'm not kidding. You'll see this in the testimonial videos. Every single time they manifest the price and more while they're in back.
That's pretty cool.
It's really free. I should have said that right.
Yeah, right.
Salesman, I would have said, well, Walt, it's actually free.
Let me just teach you the 4 words that the corniest salesman always learns, right? But wait, there's more. If you include that, you're going to win every single time. That's all.
I wouldn't say it's free. I'd say that the energetic commitment to it is always
a good way to describe it.
Manifestation.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, because the people that get in and just feel good and they're on this high wave of getting in, I always hear, well, I manifested all the money back within 2 weeks. And then the people that get in like, oh, I don't know, it's so much. Should I do this? We've got to get them to that place. And the thing is, if you really believe in law of attraction, and if you don't, why are you here? Really, why are you here learning this? If you don't really trust it and believe in it, you're wasting your time.
Yeah, this is not the podcast for you.
That is the program anyway.
Yeah, and wherever you're listening to me, why are you here? If you don't believe in it fully, then why are you here? And if you believe in law of attraction, then why are you fearful of getting on a call with me? Why are you fearful of boot camp? If you really believe, and if you don't believe in it, then it's not the right thing for you, because that is the tool that we work with, because the law of attraction is the process of all creation.
Another way to look at the same thing. I mean, I could look at the same thing by saying, well, I may not totally believe in it, but I'm getting into it so that I can develop my belief in it. I mean, I have some belief. I have experienced perhaps some benefits,
If somebody gets on the call with me and they don't know anything about law of attraction, I'm like, you need to go do this. Generally people that get into boot camp have already done some spiritual work. They believe in law of attraction. They're hitting abundance blocks.
Yep.
They understand that it works, but there's something going on in their energetic field with their vibration that is blocking them from fully trusting.
Yes.
And that's what we solve in Taya Boot Camp. We solve that trust issue in boot camp so that you can release fear and allow trust and truly come into your power of being able to have or do or be anything you want.
All right. So there you have it. You have the 15-minute infomercial after the stream of David.
I wasn't even planning on. I hear it because I have 2 different marketing teams I work with, and they're always like, "You need to sell it more." I didn't even think about that. I just like to channel the stream and do my thing. But yeah, it is a big life-changing thing, and I love that I'm able to offer it for sure.
I love that you're offering it. I mean, well, first of all, when Daniel said he was about to take the boot camp, that signaled in my head, "Walt, what the hell are you waiting for?" Mm-hmm. And made me think, this is something that we need to talk about in more detail here so that it could seem more accessible. Yeah. I think that's really what the essence of sales is, realizing that it's
you two could go through together.
Possibly. Yeah. Anything's possible. Anything's possible.
Good camaraderie there. Yeah.
Anyway, well, thank you very much once again. I'm looking forward to, I know our listeners are looking forward to having you back again next Tuesday and every Tuesday, but thank you for this Tuesday.
This is fun. Yeah, I always get a good stream workout in here. I can always tell that there were some really good questions when I'm finished. So
Excellent. All right. So thank you very much. And thank you, Alex, for you actually asked the question that got the whole thing started.
Yay.
See, Alex makes big contributions, but she makes them with very few words. It's amazing how she does that.
Well, and her vibe and her energy was very helpful too.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I tried.
And of course, Daniel basically brought everything here together. I mean, he brought us the free gifts for the app. He brought us David. He's brought us Daniel just gives. Daniel is the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Daniel is abundance.
He is. He is living abundance.
Abundance!
Abundanza. Okay. So with that wonderful thought in mind, thank you guys all very, very much. Thank you to our podcast listeners as well. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.